Punters, how is it going? And welcome back to a brand new episode of CueBall's Bearded Rambles, which is now also powered by the guys at Powered for TV. Well, it's a wrestling streaming app. There you can watch wrestling from the live events in the UK. You can listen to myself on there. You can listen to all other podcasts to do with wrestling. So go and check them out. Now, today I have a very, very special guest here that you can see. So he's one half of the Scottish tag team, the Highlanders. He has a wicked beard as well, so that's why I like him. Punters, I give you the one, the only, Robbie MacAllister.
I tear the skin from the bone just to feel you. Baby, give it.
I'm Robbie.
And I'm CueBall's. The both
Hey, CueBall, I'm Robbie. Maybe we could be a tag team. You kind of look like Rory. You just not might be as large as him there. Oops,
I don't know. I mean, yeah, I guess.
No, you're looking okay.
Yeah, I've lost a lot of weight. I don't want to lose. I don't want to put on any more weight. I'm good, man. So again, thank you very much for coming on, taking time out of your day. It means a lot to me.
No problem.
It's just awesome. This is just all around awesome. So how have you been?
I've been pretty good. I've been traveling a lot. Been working hard on some other things over the last couple of years. I do have a sales job where I travel consistently. Even with COVID, when it happened, I still traveled because my job's essential. But I've been able to do other creative things with my life other than wrestling. I teach myself guitar. I write my own music, and I do think about wrestling. I do want to do some shows. I got a bum knee right now, but I'm getting myself back in shape. As everybody in COVID, when COVID hit, they shut the gyms down. I think everybody started to kind of spiral down and go kind of the wrong way instead of the right way, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, definitely. The whole COVID pandemic is just a pain in the backside. It's one
Absolutely.
It's just one of them things that's affected the world, and hopefully we're things are looking good right now, especially in the UK, which is fantastic. I done my first show in front of a live audience last night. Absolute man. It was amazing, absolutely fantastic. I couldn't have been better. I got a little emotional, but I hit it well, but it's all good. So should we start the questions?
Sure, whatever you want.
So I got a bit of a cheesy intro. I mean, I'm gonna do it anyway. So Robbie, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Then for the two in attendance, me and you, and for the dozens and dozens watching at home, how and why did you get into the wrestling business?
I have to say I got into the wrestling business because, like every child, when he watched it as a child, he got sucked into it, and it became a dream, and it's something. It was always with me. It might have disappeared in my teenage years, but as soon as I started the real life outside of high school and the teenage years, started getting hooked back on it, and as I started watching, I just looked. I was like, I have to do this, and I had a couple friends. We watched pay-per-views. We wrestled in the backyard. I know nobody likes to hear backyard wrestling, but we weren't filming it and going crazy. But he took me to a few shows, a couple independent shows, and once I was already working out and everything, and once I saw these wrestlers, I was like, there's no reason I cannot do this. And it was head down and away I went. I had no backup plan. I just wanted to make it to WWE and achieve that dream. And life's about it. You can achieve a lot of dreams in your life. So, WWE isn't everything. Wrestling is everything for me. I have other things I want to do. Like I would like to act. Like say I write music. I'm becoming, well, over the last couple of years, I've really channeled myself into a different person. I was in a toxic relationship for about 3 years, and that kind of really spiraled me down. I disappeared.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how I got it. I know we kind of tailed off, but
So it's
I
all
got
good,
into
man.
wrestling because I had a passion for it. I loved it, and it's something I wanted to do. And once I was in the ring, and performing is just, there's nothing better. And I come from a family of performers, so it was inevitable that I went to wrestling. And I think that for me, there's more than wrestling still coming. I'm 48 now, and I'm gonna live till I'm 92. So I got lots of years to act. I create characters. Maybe, who knows? Maybe I'll have a couple albums. You never know. It's just positively. You got to use your mind to be positive and work hard.
That's it. All the positivity, man. I love it. See, that's the thing. This world is too focused on the negatives, and then we got people like us who try and focus on the positives and try and just spread the positivity kind of thing. It's got to be done.
Yep,
And then you said
absolutely.
what you said earlier about backyard, that the term backyarder is kind of a bad thing. Is it though? Is it such a bad thing? There's because I know a lot of people say, oh God, backyarders. But then a lot of the wrestlers that most people know and love, that's how they started, especially like in the UK as well. There's a lot of wrestlers in the UK who started doing the backyard and stuff, and now they're in WWE UK, AEW, and all that. So
Well, when you think about it, when the dream actually starts and you're watching a pay-per-view, yeah, you go outside with your buddy and try some moves, and the next thing you know, you're backyard wrestling.
yeah,
That's all there is to it.
yeah, it's true. Yeah, I mean, there are some times when a term backyard wrestling is bad, because there is some bad backyard wrestling, but we all start somewhere.
Yep.
Some people don't start off in a training academy or training school. Some, it's just the way it is.
Yeah.
It's just how you progress, I would say, from being that backyarder and so on. So I want to know about your training. Where did you go training? Who was your trainer, etc.
When I first started training, I kind of sought a school. I lived in a town called Woodstock, Ontario, and Cambridge, Ontario is only about 30 minutes away. And they had a Hart Brothers School of Wrestling,
Oh, nice.
but it really was not the Hart Brothers School of Wrestling. It was one of the brothers had a business partner who actually lived in Calgary years ago. His name was Joe Frockledge. They called him Ike Shaw. I believe he was actually like the merchandise guy, but he played it up, and he was such a storyteller and such a, back in the day in wrestling, there's a lot of cons going on, a lot of, shysters, and he was one of those guys, and he got Bret Hart's brother on board, and they created this Hart Brothers School of Wrestling. And
Right.
the very first day I went there, the Hart brothers actually in the trash bin out back picking cans out. It's not something it's above a bank. You go up there, it's like, well, there's a wrestling ring, and they got pictures of Hunter on the wall and all these wrestlers. Well, it's a wrestling school, but in the end, it wasn't the greatest wrestling school, and it wasn't the Dungeon, it wasn't Stu Hart, it wasn't the Hart Brothers School of Wrestling that you hear about that has a legacy.
Yeah. Oh, nice. But even though you would have learned some experience from that, learned some experience from there, and that's
You,
where you started.
you learn from everything, and we had a ring. Me and my partner, basically Rory, we would go in and just kind of teach each other. There was a guy that could teach us the chain wrestling and this and that, and every once in a while, someone would come in and train us. I did also have Waldo Von Erich. He was a wrestler back in the 70s, 60s. He did a match with Bruno Sammartino in Madison Square Gardens. So, you know, he was somebody too. He was a very great guy, and he got hooked into the the Hart Brothers School of Wrestling.
There we go. So I suppose you got that, you know, with the Hart brothers, you know, I got that going for you. So I want to know about your time on the independent scene. So when, you know, your first few years in wrestling.
So after the Hart Brothers School of Wrestling, it was one of those places where they only wanted you to work there. And a lot of places get like that.
Yeah.
And the problem with that is you don't hone your skills at one match a month.
Yeah.
Or maybe once every 2 months. And, you know, so what happened was we got a couple matches there. They looked decent. We'd take some video footage. Back then, you took a VHS tape and you filmed it and you sent it to promoters. And you either got nothing back or you ended up having to drive with your VHS tape and go to the shows and meet the promoter. And then when the promoter met you, he would actually go home, watch it, and you might get a call. So we started in Ontario. And one thing about Ontario wrestling, I'll be straight up about it, it's cliquey.
Right.
You know, it's a lot. I'm one of those guys that I'm not really the butt kissing type. If you like my talent, you like me, and you want to work with me, that's good. But I'm not gonna I'm not gonna try to click with everybody just to do my job. So in Ontario, it was hard to get in. There's a lot of guys ahead of us, like, you know, just a little ahead of us. Showtime, Eric Young. Who else was there? Bobby Roode. All those guys. They were in Ontario, and then, you know, they had their little buddies. So we found it really hard to get into Ontario. And there's a couple promoters and old school guys that actually didn't get in the click. They just, if they liked you, they booked you.
Yeah.
So we got some more footage, and then the next thing you know, we're sending tapes to Boston, Ohio, and starting to connect with people everywhere else instead of where we started.
Yeah.
Because one thing, you know, you got to travel in this business, and I enjoy. One thing I love more than anything is the road. I love traveling, and that's how we ended up in Boston, Indiana, Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania, New York, Quebec, instead of Ontario. But every once in a while, we get a booking in Ontario, and then all of a sudden, we went out and made a name for ourselves. WWE started using us as enhancement talent, and then all of a sudden, all the indies in Ontario wanted to start booking us. And it's like, well, you know what? I'm really hoping this job happens because I don't want to go work for them. And that's, yeah. So it's not like I didn't create a lot of friendships in Ontario. It's more of a, when you leave, you don't have to be part of all the cliques.
Yeah.
And you go and you go hone your skills with other people all over instead of a couple guys.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's one problem with wrestling is the cliques. Everybody's, you know, you get your cliques, you get your bunch of friends, and they all stick together. And that's in my opinion, that's one thing I don't like about wrestling. And then you get all the politics as well, and then you get all the or the it's crazy. But what you said that interested me. You said about you know, you met up with the promoters, you sent them your tapes, so they got to meet you in person. I think should come back. You know, because you're meeting the guys that you're potentially going to book. You know, you're going to see them firsthand. It's not a case of behind Facebook going, oh, we'd like a booking. Here's some footage. Okay, brother, you know, turn up to the show on whatever date. I think it's important. First impressions. That
Absolutely. Because one thing, not all wrestlers are nice people. Let's be honest. Some can be just absolute shitty. Or maybe, and it's not that they're shitty wrestlers, they're just shitty people.
Yeah.
And you know, and one thing I I always had people always, hey, can you send it? I did it on my own, so I didn't help a lot of people, which is kind of bad in a way. But in the end, I did help people because I ended up having my own shows after WWE and providing a stage for other people. And I was a guy that didn't like my ear bent either. I either you had to be a good person, you had to be a good talent, and I had guys always, hey, you should book this guy. Well, to me, he wasn't up to my talent standard, and yeah, he's a great guy, but I don't need a bunch of great guys around the locker room. It's about putting on the best show.
Yeah.
That's just that's just me.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, business is business. And
I'm and that's with me. I'm a really fun guy and everything, but
really,
in wrestling, I was a little naive in WWE and stuff because I didn't learn. Because I learned we got there on our own. We didn't have people helping us along. I was a little naive, but I've learned over the last bunch of years that, I'm a fun guy. I can have fun and be the life of the party, but business is business, and you have to learn to separate business. Because like last night, I was hanging out with some people, and basically what was said was, "Oh, you should get them to help you with social media." I'm like, well, do they need a job? And then it got a little out of hand. Well, what do you mean? It's everything's really about a transaction and a business in the end. Like it's a business. So everything has to act like a business. So you have to separate friendships and good people. So I'm not saying good people, but just because they're a good person doesn't mean they're a great talent. So I don't want to showcase to bring my show down. I'm a little bit picky that way, and I'm very anal. It's just like if you looked around my house, it's spotless. I'm very
no, that's fair enough. You can't argue with that at all. No, I completely understand what you're saying. Yeah. So you say you do different things earlier. I noticed a couple of videos that you've been doing as well. You learn how to play guitar, which is awesome, by the way. I noticed there was actually looking through a couple of videos. Somebody called Bobby. Who is Bobby? Oh,
hey Bobby. My name's Bobby. I'm just a figment of Bobby or Robbie's imagination. But no, we'll get into my characters are basically. So I said earlier that I had a very toxic relationship for about 3 years, and it's something I don't really need to talk about because I'm way past that.
Yeah.
But I think New Year's Eve 2018 going into 19, it was 8:15 at night, and I smoking my cigarette, and I put it out, and I looked at my girlfriend and I said, "This is my very last cigarette," and she was like, "Yeah, sure." I said, "Yeah, and tomorrow you need to find a place to go because this ain't. We're all done."
Yeah.
So I said I wouldn't really talk about it, but 5 days later, she was removed by the cops from my house, and I got to go on with my life. And, it was such a toxic relationship that by putting that cigarette out, I got some power back. I haven't smoked since. I haven't had a cigarette since.
Not bothering.
I haven't been around that girl since. It's never like it was cut off. It was done. I was very blessed because of the way everything fell into place. I never had to see her again.
Yeah.
It was the police said you have to leave his place, blah blah blah, and just the way it went down, I never had to, and I was very blessed to be in that situation. But it was so toxic that I think I might have been going a little crazy.
Yeah.
But I was trying to keep it together, talking to myself, coaching myself. But that's what you got to do to hold yourself together. And then all of a sudden it was like, I always had an idea that I wanted to do this road tripping with Robbie. And I started doing little videos of road tripping with Robbie. And it was good and it was fun. And that's when Facebook actually let you put stuff out there and everybody can see it. But now they kind of you put a video out there, they let 100 people see it out of 5,000, and or you put a picture up there and 1,000 people. Because I don't understand it. They're looking for money. That's what they're looking for.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
But so these characters, it's something I really liked doing when I was a kid. I used to make up characters. I used to have one of my idols when I was a little kid. It was Rich Little. He made up all kinds of different voices, and I used to make up presidents' voices and do stuff like that when I was a kid. So it's another one of those little dreams.
Yeah.
And basically, the characters came about as I believe, a healing process to help me get through what I had just went through with a woman.
Yeah.
And instead of poor me, throwing it on Facebook, I broke up, worst woman in the world. Well, you know what? Yeah, she was. Maybe I wasn't the greatest either, but I know myself, and I don't need to put it out there to get people on my side or anything like that, that relationship was a great life lesson to learn from, to know where I'm going now.
Yeah.
And all those characters were my healing power to not go crazy. Yeah, everybody's like, "You all right? You all right?" I'm all right. But I was releasing all it through creativity instead of Facebook and my life's terrible. You know, my life's never been. You have ups and downs. I've had some pretty big lows where in 2012 I had to go get kind of a job, and I was still running a wrestling show, but I kind of got a job, and my head was spinning, and going into a question you asked me before we started, mental health. So
let's do it here.
These characters are just characters. They're not multiple personalities of me. They're just creative outlets to not have to tell everybody and complain to people, "Oh, poor me, poor me." A lot of people are poor me, and it's poor me. Well, you need to go and talk to somebody. And the poor me, I think it makes it worse for people. You need to really, I don't know, you have to find that avenue to help yourself. And I'm going to tell you, these characters got me through a pretty dark time but like I say, that relationship was the biggest life lesson, to know that I know, number one, I'm never going to be with a person like that ever again. I've been in the dating scene where I've met someone and it's like ixnay right away. Like that's like that person. I'm hanging out with a girl right now. She's a wonderful woman. We're not serious or anything, but she's a wonderful woman, and she has a job. She doesn't party every night. She owns her own. She owns her own business.
Nice.
Maybe I was picking the wrong girls, of course.
Gotta go through it.
But don't we all?
Yeah, definitely.
Sometimes we think that the wrong woman is what we want to love, but it's really not. But yeah, going back to those characters, Robbie, Bobby, I got Jacques, Sherlock, I got a bunch of them. They really helped me through a time of not having to, it just get me through life and make me happy. And I've got to a point in my life where I am pretty happy. So I'm back on top of my life. And maybe, Facebook cut me off. Facebook has cut off a lot of stuff where, it's all about money. They want, if you're putting stuff out there, they want people to pay for it.
Yeah.
And I think I just went off on a rant.
No, that's good. That's all good, man. All good. That's what we're here for. If you need to have a rant, you just have a rant, man, honestly. Yeah. About, with the characters and all that was your way of dealing with, the mental health side of things. That's a unique one for Rambles. A lot of people say, they've done their own things, which is fine. Everybody has their own way of dealing with it. But I like the character type of things, where I watched a couple of them as well. They're really entertaining as well. They're brilliant.
Yeah, can I cut you off for a second?
Cut me off. That's what we're.
So have you seen the Willie character?
I haven't seen that one though. I haven't come across that one.
Okay, Willie's a rotten scoundrel.
Okay.
So all these characters are people. They ended up being somewhere out of my life, and the character Willie could have been the last girlfriend. Just a rotten scoundrel, thief, drinker, partier, carry on.
Nice. But yeah, everybody has their own way of dealing with it. You found your way of dealing with it through doing these characters and then posting them and bringing cheer to everybody else.
Yes, and it brought me a lot of cheer.
Exactly. Yeah.
And over time, that's where I was going on my rant. I've stopped kind of doing them, but number one, I know characters need to be paid for. I'm a businessman. I can't help being a business side, but coming to a point, creating my own music and the happiness I'm at, I don't think I need to go to the characters to make me happy, if you know what I mean. Yeah. I can still do the characters. I do them. I don't videotape them. I do them around people. People laugh and stuff, but I don't need to put them out there anymore because that was my creative aspect to look and go, man, that's really creative and cool. And a lot of, there's some people that criticize, but there's a lot of people that you got some talent to act and do something. I'm like, thank you. Cause that's the encouragement. You always need encouragement.
Yeah.
And when you do stuff, people are always quick to point out the negatives.
Oh yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? It's like, so just for example, I got friends that aren't going to ever hear this podcast because they don't like wrestling. So they're friends, but they end up being acquaintances. Yeah. But instead of, so my characters, we have a couple facial and hand expressions that are the same, but they're all distinctly different by one's got a hat, one's got glasses, one, they're all different. Yeah, they're going to have some things. Well, I'm not sitting there trying to create a character to think, if I'm doing it for a movie, I got to say, okay, I got to totally separate from it. Why not? Hey, that's great. Like I like criticism, but just, all your characters do this or that. It's like, well, I don't know. There's a lot of people laughing right now. And, I'm not saying, okay, that's a good mental note for me, but you don't need to, I guess you should always start with the positive before you throw the negative.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, definitely. I mean, I would,
what I mean?
I tend to say, if you got nothing nice to say, don't say it at all. And I've always said as well, people would rather see you fail than watch you succeed, because I think that's true as well.
Absolutely. Oh, I know that 100%.
Imagine, yeah.
In a lot of businesses, it's hometowns are hard.
Yeah.
I made it to WWE. I'm still in my hometown, and I'm not there anymore. I fell from grace. I had my fall, and it is what it is. I got to achieve my dream. I got Robbie right here with me.
Yeah.
So
figures actually when I was a kid.
So in the end, it's like I achieved a dream, and since I've achieved my happiness, it doesn't matter whatever ever happened, and there's reason. Everything happens for a reason, and where we're at in life is where we're supposed to be, and where I'm at talking to you is where I'm supposed to be right now. People might see me on here and then might go onto my Instagram and start following me, and then all of a sudden, oh, I didn't know Highlander Robbie did these characters, and then maybe things will blow up. Everything, and I'm a positive, and I'm a dreamer. We talked about COVID before we started. Before my birthday, going back to believing, I've always believed in myself, but COVID, I was going to say spending a lot more time at home doing the characters, but there was a lot of drinking involved.
Yeah.
It was getting to the point, I like to drink. Drinking's got me in trouble on a few occasions. I don't think necessarily I'm an alcoholic, but I can binge here and there. But when COVID came, it was slow, and then all of a sudden it started to escalate, and before my birthday, March 24th this year, I was like, man, I really got to make some changes. I'm getting fat. I was starting to get a belly, not being able to go to a gym. Um, I was happy. I was happy, but at the same time, there was still one more thing. I was like, I don't have my body, it wasn't that bad. Like people said, I still had my arms and everything, but I had something down there around my gut that I've never seen in my life, and I don't like it.
Yeah.
And I was drinking, and it was coming to the point where, instead of 2 days of drinking, it was 4 days of drinking, then 1 day off, and then 3 days, and then 4 days off. And then, all of a sudden 26 ounces of tequila, you wake up in the morning and there's 6 ounces left there. You're like, okay. My birthday came, I looked down my belly, I was like, I gotta stop. And so on my birthday, I went for a 5-day binge, and on the 28th I said, okay, we're gonna stop. I found a private place to work out, and I haven't drank since. And I've been working out. I've lost all my weight, and now I've got every aspect of all my power back. Because one thing is, if you look good, you feel good.
Yes, confidence.
You're more positive.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, well done as well on that one. You've given up the smoking, you stopped drinking.
Well, I can't say I'm going to quit drinking forever.
No, but
I know that I needed a good long break to get some mental clarity. I'm coming up with more songs. I love music. I love writing my own music. Everybody's, you should play this song or that song. It's like, no, I'll just make up my own. I don't listen. I try not to listen to too much music.
Yeah.
I wrote a song and I sent it out to a bunch of people. They say, it sounds like, and they're like, who is that? I'm like, I don't know, because I wasn't basing it off anybody's. I listen to music, but it comes from my heart. Yeah. And the worst thing is, a lot of it comes out as country. I don't even like country music, but if that's what it is, that's what it is. Yeah. You know what? Going back to being a businessman, it's not called sellout. It's called living your life, living it good. And if you can make some money along the way and be happy, everything's pretty damn good.
Yeah, definitely win-win there, brother. Yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so let's get back into the wrestling. Okay?
Yep.
Don't get me wrong. Fantastic to hear about. I do, much respect to you for that. But so obviously you done the independent circuit. You got, obviously you had eyes on you, and then you ended up in OVW. So what was your initial reaction when you first got contacted by the guys at OVW?
Well, this is how it actually went. We would go out to Massachusetts, and we met with. We used to work for this place on the East Coast for a guy called Mike Sparta. And Mike Sparta had a lot of guys go through him, and WWE talent relations always came to his shows. He would book Dr. Tom at the time. Dr. Tom was the talent relations coordinator there. And we had happened to one night be down there, and we at least had a decent look before we had the beards and everything. We were in the gym looking pretty decent. And one night we got to work with Chris Candido and Danny Davis, the referee Danny Davis, that he also wrestled. If you go back in the annals of history, he was involved with the Hart Foundation in the late 80s. So we got to wrestle with them, and they were friends of Dr. Tom's, and they're like, these guys are really good. You need to. And so Dr. Tom passed us on his number, and we started bugging him. And then we got a booking for WWE to go in and maybe do dark matches, or at least roll around in the ring. And we did that for about a year and a half. And at one point they come to us and they said, we got to a point, they were booking us a lot, and we were making some decent money going in and doing enhancement talent. So we would just phone them and say, hey, we're going to be in this area this weekend. We're going to be here. So we'd just drive there, and then we'd end up getting a booking in that area. But the money they were paying us was enough to drive there. So
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, we'll just go there. But you just tell a little fib to get there. It's just a little one. So we did enhancement matches, and then finally we were in Providence. No, it was Albany, New York. We finally pulled John Laurinaitis aside. He was the head of WWE Talent Relations at the time, and Rory asked. Rory was the talker of us. I kind of let him do he did all the leading, more or less. I was I don't know, I guess the grunt in a way. He did all the talking. I didn't do a lot of talking. I'm a hell of a talker now. I can keep going and going and going. I can tell stories, but he just happened to have the Scottish accent, the charm and all that. And he asked if, it's nice coming in every week, but can we get jobs here? And then John Laurinaitis looked at us and he said, he goes, I can take anyone in OVW and put kilts on them and call them the Highlanders. And I was like, oh, there's a kick in the nuts. There's the first kick in the nuts.
Yeah.
So the heart, that feeling in your stomach you get sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
And
then he looked at Rory. And he says, I got a lot. If you look around my locker room, he goes, I got a lot of bald guys and they're not that tall. He goes, I don't know if I can really do anything with you. Your partner looks good. He's got the way he looks, he's got a decent look. He's taller. He's got some hair. He goes, he looks a little different. And then, that kicked Rory in the nuts a little more. And then they basically said, you got one more shot. You got to go away leave for 4 or 5 months and come back and show us something different. Because this isn't going to work for us.
Yeah.
Because they had a whole, like you say, they had a whole roster in OVW of guys that they could put kilts on, and that's the truth. So we got in the car and we started driving back to Canada, and we went 4 hours the wrong way. But maybe that was meant to be, because everything happens for a reason, correct?
Yeah.
So I got on the highway. I went the wrong way. We felt like we had just been kicked in the nuts pretty hard. And by the end of, before I dropped him off in Brantford, where he was living at the time, we'd come up, hey, let's grow big beards and hair and just get fur, and let's look like Highlanders from out of the Highlands.
Yeah.
And so about 4 months came by. I was my first beard ever. I was growing in pretty nice. Rory had a nice one. And we were still doing indies, and we were down in a place called War Wrestling in Lima, Ohio. And Tommy Dreamer at that time was the talent relations guy, and he liked us from just seeing us around. Well, when he saw us that night, it's like he popped the biggest boner, because he's like, he saw us, with the fur.
Yeah.
No one looked like this for quite some time on the indies. And then we asked him, he said, hey, can we go cut a promo for you? And we went in the room, he cut a promo, and before the promo was over, he was already on the phone with Vince. And he says, you gotta look at these guys. And lo and behold, we were in Ohio that weekend. I think it was that week. No, maybe, yeah. No, it might have been another trip after, but somewhere in that closeness, we had went in and did dark matches for WWE, looking like the Highlanders.
Yeah.
Vince and Stephanie were loving it, and John Laurinaitis, he never really liked us. He wasn't a fan. He's got his guys. He's got guys pulling on his pocket that he wants. They got their guy. Yeah, that's the business. And I understand. I've learned a lot about business, so now I can be the squeaky wheel, and I will get the grease. I just don't happen to be in the wrestling business, and lo and behold, it doesn't really matter, because I'm happy, and that's the most important in life. I still want. There's not thoughts that I wouldn't want to be there, but back to the story. We did the dark matches, and John Laurinaitis came up that night after the second dark match, and he says, and we worked a guy named The Miz well, we worked the Miz and Capitelli. Capitelli's no longer wrestling. And I know that John Laurinaitis came up to us and he says, "Do you guys got to get all this stuff ready? You need this because we need articles, we need match histories, this and that." And we're like, "Well, what's that for?" He's like, "Well, we're possibly considering hiring you." I'm like, oh, wow.
There we go.
So we went home happy that weekend, and then Wednesday morning, I was sleeping, and my son woke me up. He's like, "Dad, John Laurinaitis is on the phone," and John Laurinaitis says, he started talking, and he says, "How would you guys like to have a job?" And we're like, "Yep, boom, yep, I'm in." And he lied to us too, because he says, "We'll give you guys, what was it? We'll give you guys $1,000 a week, and we'll put you down in OVW." And so $1,000 a week was 50 grand a year is pretty good. And when the contracts came, it was $750 a week. So, but you're so hungry and you want it. What do? You're like, you say no. There's thousands of people lined up to get in that door at WWE.
Yeah.
And then, we went down. They signed us. We had to get we had to get our visas, and the next thing you know, they put us down in OVW. So that's how we got to OVW.
So what's your memories about OVW then? What was your biggest high points in OVW?
My biggest high, actually, more of a disappointment than anything. We went there. WWE was high on us. Did we need the training? Yes. Could have stayed there longer? Yes. But right when we got there, it was the politic game that, you know what I mean? And it's not like I didn't meet a lot of people and like all those people there. It was kind of, I had a lot of fun. Don't get me wrong. I learned a lot from Al Snow. I learned a lot. I actually learned to become a better wrestler, learned how to work a little better, because we were still pretty green around, when you call everything from start to finish, mind you, that's what they do nowadays. I got to become a good wrestler where you can just go and call a lot and just do it. And so, but I learned a lot that's what I learned in OVW. I had matches, Rory and I had matches against CM Punk and Brent Albright. A great match there. Some other good ones, but we had some real stinkers too. And those stinkers didn't help right at the beginning. When you go to a new place, you're working with people. It's a competition.
Yeah.
And even though everybody's happy and nice to everybody, it's still a competition.
Yeah, of course it is. Yeah.
And some guys aren't going to do stuff for you. They don't want to bump for you, do this for you, do that for you. It's like, well, it's a hot comeback. Why the hell aren't you going to bump? Yeah. It's standard. It's been going for 100. A hot comeback in tag wrestling. Boom, 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 boom. You got to have bumps. You don't just get punched and we'll go to sell over to a corner and then come back. Like, I'm sorry. It's just, yeah. It just, so I personally, I liked it, but it wasn't the greatest thing. You know what I mean? It wasn't.
It's an experience, a life experience.
It was an experience to learn from.
Yeah, definitely.
To learn from.
So you've done your time in OVW. You debuted on Raw. So when you was told about this, what was your thoughts? I mean, was it like, oh my God, we're going to be debuting on Raw, or was it like, oh,
Well, what happened was when they first hired us, they wanted to put us right on television.
Okay.
And I believe now everything happens for a reason, like I said. So I'm thinking that possibly if we would have got right in and got our visas right away, we would have got up to the main roster and learned from those guys, and probably would have got to get in with a couple good guys to work with that would have helped us along.
Yeah.
Where when we got there, it was tough because Vince liked us. Vince really liked us and was high on us, but there's agents backstage that have their guys that they want to get them on top, and
Yeah.
and one thing Rory and I didn't really have was we didn't have anyone going to bat for us.
Right.
When we got to WWE on our own with some talent relations guys helping us along, it wasn't agents backstage trying to push for us. Like, we didn't get trained by Shawn Michaels, so he was pushing his guys. And that's the business. It's, hey, where I work now, I'm in sales. It's not really it's going around bullshit and talking, and it's like wrestling without taking bumps.
Yeah.
But where I work right now, they have a referral program. If you find a guy that can come to the company and work out, you can get some money from that. And that's basically what a lot of those guys that are there, they were in somebody's pocket and they taught them the way. And I was pretty naive, but I learned a lot from it, and that's where I am today.
Yeah.
Happy is the key.
Yeah.
It's not like I ever don't think about, all my characters and my positivity that I couldn't be down in Florida teaching characters. I'm not saying teaching characters, but how to believe in a character.
Yeah.
Because I'm a character. I think I got a lot. I think I could teach people the character part.
I know what you mean.
Have to have the it factor, but I think I'd be able to pull out character from people.
Yeah.
I've thought about that once in a while. Maybe I could get a job down at the training center helping out with the guys coming in to help develop characters. Maybe.
Yeah.
But that's gonna be. I would have to get a conversation with Hunter, and hopefully, time heals all wounds, because I had an incident that everybody thinks that incident got the Highlanders fired, being a TNA. That incident really didn't get the Highlanders fired. That's my 100% belief. That was what put the nail in the coffin.
Yeah.
That got, and there's a whole story behind that too. But you can ask some more questions, because you might actually get to that question sometime.
All right. So my memories of the Highlanders are, you'd be going up against Crime Time, Lance Cade, Trevor Murdoch. They're the main two I can really think of right now. But I would
Shelton and we wrestled with Shelton and Viscera.
Yes, that's right. I remember I remember the tag team turmoil. I think it was at Cyber Sunday, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
Yeah, that was one of my all-time favorite matches of you guys in. That's just something that always will stick with me, that match. And
that was where Crime Time stole it.
Yeah. So, like, working with guys like that, there's you're all different characters, if you will, aren't you? So, how does this match come about? I know how these matches come about, but how was it set up? What was going on?
Well, Cyber Sunday wasn't too far. Like, we debuted in September. I want to say it. No, was it? I'm trying to think. No, we debuted in like July or something. And I think in September we did the September to Remember against the Spirit Squad.
Yes.
And then I think Cyber Sunday was after that. Basically, we were just kind of thrown into that because what had happened was we were high on Vince's radar from the time they brought us in April until September, when they were giving us a good push. We thought we were going to get the tag titles.
No, it's criminal that you didn't. It's criminal. You didn't.
There might have been some backstage things that might have happened that way that happened, but that's not something I need to really talk about, because I'm not here to hurt anybody's feelings. But what happened was we ended up after we lost to them the next week, or was it the next night in Montreal, Shawn Michaels, Triple H, because Robbie was dumb, put his arm around him to take him to his corner. Rory turned around and got super kicked, and that was the end of the Highlanders, really. So it was all over when it first, like, we got one little run, and yeah, we were good characters because we were doing Sunday Night Heat stuff, but we were just thrown into that because there was someone to beat. You know what I mean? We got into a role. We got into a role right after that one pay-per-view that we turned into the guys that are going to lose, and we're going to win on Sunday nights on Sunday Night Heat to keep us like we're superstars. And then, you know, from there we ended up in a decent role where we were working house shows for a long, long time. And then there was an incident in Italy where I missed my flight because my passport got wrecked. So that might have started spiraling on us, but they did hire us again, or they did sign us for another 3 years. But right before we were leaving, we were on the road for about, before that WrestleMania, before we got fired in August. I don't know. I kind of got I got away from your question. I'm sorry.
That's right.
But they were basically jobbing us out to everybody in minutes on television, and I got pinned by a midget. So you kind of know where you're going then. It's like, yeah, okay.
Like I said, it's criminal that you didn't get the World Tag Team titles. Yeah, I thought you should have. That's me personally. But the thing I liked about the Highlanders at the time, you and Rory were completely different. You know, I would say the tag team division back then was better than what it is now. That's my.
Is it?
I would say so. I feel like it is myself.
Okay.
Now, what would you say about the current tag team division?
I haven't watched much, so I can't say much about it.
Fair enough.
I thought when we started it was in bad shape too, because they end up always taking a couple superstars and stick them together and giving them the titles because they need to keep them up on top.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, they still do, to be fair, I must admit. It's just, you know, I don't know. Like you say, everything happens for a reason, but sometimes it's just like, why are you doing this? But, you know, live and learn, all these experiences going on, you know, you just got to do good stuff, kind of thing. So you mentioned a TNA incident. Are we happy? You happy to talk about this? Because if not, we can just move on.
No, I can talk about it.
So obviously you did a TNA event, you know, as a paying, or what? I don't know. Did you pay? I mean, because I heard rumors that.
No, I didn't pay.
Yeah, like I say, I heard years and years ago that, you know.
So we'll lead up to it because we were just kind of talking about it. So in January, WWE brought us back on the road, and we were basically putting over the guys from Florida coming up, going on the road, and you know, we were a superstar for them to look good, which wasn't a bad thing. But we were going on house shows and putting those guys over. And then on TVs, you know, I'm starting to lose. You know, even though you're in a match with Mick Foley, the midget's pinning you. That don't look good.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
I just happened to see it the other day. I totally forgot about it. Some guy sent me the link, but going in the ring and jobbing to Umaga, you know, he puts us over, and then, you know, make us look even stupider, one's pulled over on the other, and I'm in Rory's crotch, his face is in my crotch, and you know what I mean? I'm like, they're starting to ridicule you, so you're starting to feel like a piece of shit. So you're like, screw you then. I'm getting to the point where, and maybe other people see it like we weren't getting fired. I don't know, but the writing's on the wall when you're. Yeah. I've seen every other tag team that goes in and gets beat up in a minute by a superstar, you know, and then you're put on TV to lose to some other guy, and you're on your way out. Yeah. So I know they had just signed us in November for another 3 years, but sometimes they do that they do that to play. Sometimes they play mind games with you. You know what I mean? Just so you don't know shit's coming. But so leading up to the TNA incident, we were getting jobbed out a lot. I wasn't happy. At the time, did I think about it really hard about what I was doing? No, I just went and did it. Subconsciously, yeah, probably the way to get out.
Was it a relief, kind of thing? Do you think it was done in the right way, or do you think
Oh,
it could have gone better?
it was totally done the wrong way, but from lifelong lessons that I've learned, it's kind of how it's I guess my personal self, I'm not really a confrontation person. I'm not. I could care less about drama and confrontation. I just want to be chill and relaxed. I am a little high strung, but when I mean chill and relaxed, I wasn't gonna go say like, we were getting the dick around, and I was supposed to be on house shows one time. They didn't give me the house shows, outright lie, and it's like, you're being treated like a piece of shit. So, I'm very thankful for the opportunity they gave me. It didn't turn out the way it did, and I guess I was a little bit childish by showing up at TNA by just doing it, but subconsciously I did it for a reason. But I wasn't really thinking, because I was just mad. I was like, you know what? If they're gonna treat, I'm just done. I'm not. You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah. The toxicity takes over, doesn't it? When
oh,
you're in a negative place, you just do whatever the hell you want.
It was very toxic working there at the end, because it wasn't the place I wanted to work anymore. Yeah. And funny thing is that after that TNA incident, they still had us on the road. They obviously before that TNA incident too, Rory got injured in a match when we fought Fit Finley and Hornswoggle. Rory had tore his pec.
Right.
And that's, when you're going to lose to a midget again, that the writing is totally on the wall. And like I say, I might have acted out by going to TNA in a not acting out, but I just did something stupid that said it was a basic big old, yeah. I know it was wrong, and a lot of people were pissed. I'm really sorry that I disrespected the Undertaker. I really liked him as a person. We share the same birthday. I pissed off a lot of people. They wanted to really choke me. But you know what? When you're not in a good place, why be there?
Yeah.
Why if you're not happy and you're going to work seeing all these other people happy, it just wants to make you just break down, cry.
Yeah.
In a way, it's like, so it was a dumb incident that I did that, but you know what? Rory was injured. We didn't get fired till August. If Rory wouldn't have been injured, we would have got the axe as soon as WrestleMania was over. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
So it's just that it wasn't going the way, and I've did it in other things where I've, just completely just screwed up things just to get out of it, because I don't want confrontation. I don't want to, I sometimes I really enjoyed singles wrestling after the tag team. I didn't really want to do tag team. Once I got out of WWE and I wasn't wrestling with my partner anymore because, he was living in the States, I was living in Canada, that I really enjoyed singles wrestling. Maybe I would have did something different there, but we always had to think everything happens for a reason. So
I think this is what's
got to be positive.
Everything happens for a reason. Rambles. I think that's the title of it right there. So you've mentioned it loads. So all right, then. So
like that TNA incident, it happened for a reason.
Yeah. From what you've said, it sounds like it was needed. It needed to happen, kind of thing.
Pretty much.
So, in a sense, kind of good that it happened, but it is what it is. you know.
That day we got called in August to actually get released. Like,
Yeah, really fucking
it
amazing.
was like it was like 100 bricks came off me, you know.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah. So life after WWE. I know, like you said, you've done like right now you're doing your music, you've had your characters, but what else was you doing after WWE?
Right out of WWE, I continued with the Indies until 2014, pretty much at a full-time basis.
Was this with
Um,
Robbie MacAllister, or was this as
as Robbie, just I'm Robbie, I'm Robbie. Uh, and I did pretty good. I lived off a stack of cash. In 2010 I spent some time in England with All Star Wrestling, but they called me the hillbilly. It Brian, you know Brian.
Brian?
Brian, he just has to make his own characters because the Highlander character might have made too much money. I don't know. But there was Drew McDonald there at the same.
Yeah,
Drew McDonald was around at the same time. So I wrestled in England as like a kind of like a hillbilly. I kind of want to be more like a what do you call it, a swamp guy.
right.
But I did wrestle and I kept pretty good. I ended up having my own company for a while. And in 2014, an opportunity for a sales job came along that I really couldn't resist. And the sales manager says, you're probably going to have to drop the wrestling. And then within a year, I was back in the ring, just doing small shows here and there still, because I've never said I retire and I never will.
I've always said with wrestling, it's like a drug. Once you've done it, you can try and get away with it.
I'm never gonna say I'm retiring because no one ever does.
You can't, can you?
Once I'm in getting in good enough shape, if my knee's good, I wouldn't mind wrestling a few more matches.
That'd be awesome.
Absolutely.
You should. Right. So my last question for you is what is next for Robbie MacAllister? I know you just said you would like to get back into wrestling, but what else is going on? What would you like to achieve down the road?
Well, being where we started off, I kind of said that I'm a dreamer. I'm just going to keep following my dreams. I would like to get into acting. I have a plan right now that's I could. Every day I look at real estate. I have a good market right now. I could sell my house and maybe find something somewhere else and just move away and be mortgage free and live my life and maybe start acting and doing my characters full time, work on my music, and maybe just have a small part-time job, do some indie shows. I've been thinking I did a like a Wrestle Fest a couple weeks ago in Indianapolis with Rory, where Billy Gunn was there, Kane was there. It was a pretty good deal, and I wouldn't mind doing some more of those. And I have a pretty good life. The sales really helped me out. Wrestling, I didn't get rich. I got rich in knowledge, I would say, and rich in being a happy person. I learned a lot from the wrestling experience, and I know that when you learn, you can succeed at other things from all your other things.
Yeah, definitely.
And I don't know exactly what I'm going to do, but I'll be doing something. I'll be happy and I'll be living my life till I'm 92.
So you're 92. So there we go. So hopefully that will all happen. Hopefully, everything will happen that you want to happen, and good luck with it. I'll be watching, I'll be supporting you, whatever you do. I'll be doing that like on Facebook and dropping the messages every now and then. Come on, Robbie.
Yeah. And if anyone wants to actually, once they see the podcast, they want to check out what Robbie's doing, they can go at Highlander Robbie on Instagram. I got to check that out. I believe it's a double R. I'm pretty bad at. I'm not. And then Derek Robbie MacAllister Couch on Facebook. So
there we go.
How do you even find out where you are on Instagram? Do you have Instagram?
I do have Instagram, yes. I don't know, just go on there, don't you? And
Well, I'm just trying to figure out where my stuff is, but I better not look that much. 'Cause I can't believe it won't go to the home.
let's have a look. I'll go on Instagram for you and have a look, shall
Thank
we?
you.
So what do you think? What did you say you thought it was?
At Highlander Robbie.
Highlander.
I'm just pressing that. Oh, there we go.
Highlander Robbie. There we go. Yeah. So yeah, it's just Highlander Robbie with 2 R's.
2 R's. Yes.
There we go. And that's his Instagram account. He just said he's got a Facebook account. So yeah, go and support him. Go and spread the positivity. And that's where you got it.
I really thank you for letting me come on. I haven't done enough of these. I believe this will be my second one. I did one with my buddy Rex here in Ontario. He's a great guy too. He's a wrestler. I want to do some more of these because I think I'm not super social media guy, and I do it, but I want people to want to follow me. I don't want to go and try to get them to follow. You know what I mean? I want. So if they want to check out what I'm doing, they can come check it out and whatever. Maybe they'll enjoy my characters.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm sure I can ask a couple of podcasters I know to get in contact. So
yeah, I'm doing one in Scotland here soon too. So it's I just thought it's the podcast is probably the best way to get your name back out because people start hearing your name again.
Yeah.
Like seeing something on a page doesn't really excite someone until they actually hear a voice. Oh, I remember him.
yeah,
Just like when we were I'll tell you a little story. I didn't mean to cut you off, but
Go.
when we were at the convention a few weeks back, it felt like some of the fans didn't want to come up to us, but then when other people came up and I was being Highlander Robbie and doing my Scottish accent and being fun, and people started to come up, it's like okay, yeah, now I remember them. It's like sometimes we're a long time ago. 2008 was the last time we were there. That's quite some time ago, but I hope I'm not forgotten.
Like I said, the Highlanders will always have a place in my heart. You were one of my favorite tag teams back then, and you had beards as well. Obviously, I didn't have a beard back then because I was only a kid myself back then. But we got the beard.
Oh, can we talk about the beards for a second?
Let's go for it. Yeah, let's talk about beards. Go for it. Yeah.
It doesn't matter how long this podcast is, right? Okay. So when we were going to WWE, the beards, I like to get this one out there because I like to tell this story. When we were there, we never had beards, and everybody had these little chin straps.
Oh, yeah.
These little chin strap beards. Well, when we went there, we went back, we were all hairy. And within a month after that, everybody started growing beards.
No way.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden, everybody in the world had beards. You check that out. Duck Dynasty didn't come out until 2012.
The Highlanders, everybody who's got the beard now is on the Highlanders.
We started the beard revolution. I just wish we could have claimed it.
Yeah. Well, I was official. You have claimed it now officially, so there we go. Yeah, everybody's got a beard. It's because of the Highlanders, no matter what they say.
Yep.
There we go. So that concludes today's CueBall's Bearded Rambles. Robbie, no matter what you say, it's an honor that you've come on. It's just been absolutely fantastic to speak to you. Like I said, you was somebody who I watched when I was a teenager kind of thing, and it's been brilliant. So Robbie,
thanks for having me, CueBall. It's been fun chatting with you.
Yes, it has. So this has been one half of the Highlanders, Robbie MacAllister.
I'm Robbie!
And I've been the beer drinking, heavy metal listening, bald-headed brawler CueBall. Thanks for watching. Stay safe, stay positive. #, yeah.